Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the brand new palette by Jeffree Star called the Alien Palette. So if that's something you're interested in watching, then you're in the right place. We are about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so the Alien Palette by Jeffree Star. Now, when he first announced that this was going to be his holiday collection, of course, everyone said, well, that's a bit unconventional, an alien-themed collection for the holidays. But it is very Jeffree Star, if you think about it. So Jeffree says that he's been called a little alien since he was quite little, and he drew his inspiration from that for this particular palette. Now, Jeffree is known for the crazy packaging when it comes to his palettes. Blood Sugar, that came out earlier this year, and I think I agree with him on this, is probably the palette of 2018 that took the world by storm. Incredibly unusual packaging, covered in faux leather. It has two buckles here, 18-pan palette. That's incredibly unique, and the formula of this palette is superb. Now, a couple of things I was really excited about when it comes to the Alien palette. Number one, he said that the packaging was just as original. Number two, there are 18 pans in this palette as well, and they're the same formula that was used in the Blood Sugar palette, and that formula is exquisite. So all that was left to see was the color layout. So let's get into the outside packaging before we actually get into the inside packaging. Like he said, it is covered in faux leather. It has a hinge right here. It's this giant alien skull. It does have 3D eyes, so these are raised up a little bit. It's industrial plastic kind of bubbles for the alien eyes here. And then, of course, on the back, you have all of the Jeffree Star company information, all of his social Instagram handles, etc. So when you open this particular palette, because the hinge is here, actually, can you guys see the depth of it too? It's not a thin palette. She's got some weight to her. It feels very heavy. So if you look at Androgyny, which was one of Jeffree's palettes, and you put it kind of up against this one, you can kind of see how Androgyny is very, very thin, and the Alien palette is a little bit wider than that, which would make sense because these pans, if they're the same Blood Sugar pans, they are quite deep and they do hold a lot of product, so it is going to need to be a little bit thicker, so it's not as thin as you would think upon just first glance. Now, in order to open this, the best way they say to do it is to slide it to the side either this way or to slide it to the side either this way, and that's only because opening it just like this is kind of hard. It's hard to kind of grip the sides a little bit, so you can just slide it to the side and then it's very easy to open. Once you slide it, you just slide it and flip. Now, the first thing that you are going to notice is this huge mirror, which I actually like. I like having that huge kind of mirror. It's a nice, good vanity size mirror, so it does get your whole face in there. And then the 18 pans are laid out like this. So you have like rows of 4 here and then a row of 3, 2, and 1, so it kind of encompasses the head of the alien. And at first glance, it has very earthy type tones to it, and then you have some standouts like this teal and this purple and black hole down here, which is a very pitched type of black. It's actually quite stunning. But the overall layout is very unusual, and I think that's what he was looking for, was something from a color story perspective that's incredibly unusual. And even as unusual as these colors look, they are very user-friendly. I actually have them on my eyes tonight. The look I created on my eyes tonight was strictly from the Alien palette. And what I can say in my experience using this palette is that it does force you out of your comfort zone a little bit. It forces you to kind of dip into some pans that you normally wouldn't dip into. But it is beautiful, you guys. I have to say that I didn't think I would be a fan of this color story, but I found myself really, really enjoying it. And I think it's because a lot of these shades, when you actually apply them, they're not as shocking as they seem in the pan. But let's take a close-up of this palette just so that you guys can really get in here and kind of look at the detail of the palette itself, because I know it's kind of hard to appreciate this far away. So let's get into the close-up here. So of course you have the outside. Again, it's this very soft, buttery kind of faux leather that feels really, really incredible. And then you have those eyeballs that are like that 3D kind of industrial plastic type eyeballs. They're actually really, really cool. And then as you slide it to the side and lift, you see that giant mirror there, and then you can just kind of flip it around and it really sets on its own really, really well on your vanity. And you can look at all of the shades and the colors in here. They're absolutely stunning. These shimmer shades are to die for. There are a couple of duochromes in here that have a very nice flip that we'll get into in a little bit. And then of course you see the Jeffree Star stamp with a little flying saucer and a little alien stamp on the side of the third row. And yeah, so it's a very beautiful, very unusual palette. I can honestly say that if you get this is probably one of those palettes that promises no duplicates in your own personal collection, because they are very incredibly unusual pans. I will say there are a couple of colors that I've absolutely fallen in love with in this palette, and you guys are going to moan and groan because of course they're the ones in here that are the least exciting. But Gravitia, which is this shade right here, is one of the best transition colors that I've ever used in my life. I reach for that particular color now when I'm doing all kinds of different looks, and I use it as a transition color. It is absolutely stunning as a transition shade. No matter what shade you're going in with. I did a very kind of gray blue look tonight, but I used Gravitia as a transition color with a very kind of silvery gray look. I've used it as a transition color with purples. I've used it as a transition color with greens, with browns, with mauves. It just sits in the pocket as a transition color very, very well. So I'm in love with this color right here. I'm also in love with X-Files, which is kind of this weird brown that seems to have like a taupey kind of pull to it, and it's just one of those colors that you have to kind of play with and see in order to really fall in love with it. But X-Files I've absolutely fallen in love with. I have fallen in love with Black Hole. It is genuinely one of the richest, deepest, darkest blacks that I have ever used in my life. It's amazing as like a liner or to smoke out any kind of eye look. It's stunning for that. And Interstellar and Pluto are really incredible inner corner highlights, and then I actually have Interstellar right here on the first like half of my lid tonight. It's a beautiful, beautiful shimmer shade. You just barely touch them and they have this amazing payoff. They're so rich and buttery. Moonrock is an incredible shimmer shade. It's very unusual. Probe has this very unusual shift to it. There are just really stunning colors in this palette, and I think it really holds some incredible kind of hidden gem colors as well. So without further ado, let's get into the swatches, and then we're going to talk about application and how these colors blend. But let's go ahead and get into the swatches here. Alright guys, so here is another look at the palette. Of course, all the colors, gorgeous, love them. Alright, so we're going to swatch them rows here at a time. I think I'm going to do the first couple of rows, then the next couple of rows, and then the last 2 rows. So this is the first color. This is Pluto. It's just a nice, icy, shimmery color. Next one is Titan. Beautiful brow bone highlight, matte color. I love it. Now this one is Alien, and this is like a green shimmer, but it's like a neon green shimmer. It's incredibly unique. It's unlike any green shimmer that I've ever seen. It's got this yellow kind of pull to it, and it's beautiful. Next is Interstellar, which is a really pretty kind of icy gold. I love Interstellar, and it does make a beautiful highlighter, by the way. Next is Abduction. It's this crazy neon yellow color that's incredibly bold, but it's very opaque, which is surprising. UFO is next. It's a genuine yellow gold. Really, really pretty color on the lid. Next is Gravitia. This is the transition color I was telling you guys about that has quickly become one of my favorite transition colors of all time. And then next is Martian Soil, which is this kind of mustardy orange color. And that also looks really, really pretty in the transition. I kind of fixed that Titan swatch for you because I did a little short swatch there, and all the rest of them ended up being long swatches, so I pulled it down a little bit. But up close, you can see that these are stunning. Pluto, Titan, Alien, can't get over that green. Interstellar is a beautiful icy kind of gold, great for inner corner. Abduction, that yellow is insane. UFO is the gold, and then Gravitia and Martian Soil. So these are the first 2 rows, and incredibly unique. Very, very unique colors. All right, so the next 2 rows. The first color is this teal, this flying saucer teal. And you guys, this color, look at the color payoff from this teal. It is crazy. It's crazy. And that kind of shade is not an easy shade. They usually end up being a bit patchy. Next is Phone Home, which is a beautiful kind of mauve-y color. It looks beautiful on the lid. It's a beautiful texture. Next is Moon Rock, which is my second favorite shimmer in this palette. It is just a very unique shimmer shade. It has this really pretty, I want to say kind of like a green gold color to it. It's just very unique. Next is X-Files, and even though a lot of people say X-Files, you know, is just kind of this basic color, it's like this taupey brown that I absolutely love. Next is Ghost OG. It's just a deep gray. Next is Area 51, which is this crazy purple. It's absolutely a really true purple color. And then next is Space Cowboy, which is a very unique brown that has like a black base to it. So it's like a brown shimmer, but there's a matte brown kind of base to it. So these are the next 2 rows. And again, you're looking at very, very unique colors. I love the way that they look, especially that last one, Space Cowboy, is so unique and it looks beautiful on the eye. The purple is incredible, that Area 51 color. And X-Files, which is that taupey brown, it really is a stunning shade. And then Flying Saucer, that teal is unbelievable. I would love to see someone get crazy inventive with that teal color because it has an amazing payoff and it blends out beautifully. I really, really like these colors. So these are the second 2 rows. All right, so the last 2 rows is really only 3 shades. The first one is Probe, which is my favorite shimmer in this palette. It has a beautiful shift to it. It's like a blue to a brown, and it's gorgeous. Next is Tall Gray, which is just a gray color, and I jacked up these swatches. I'm going to redo them here in a second, so just forgive me. And then last is Black Hole, and when I say that this is the blackest black that I've ever used, it is pitch black, you guys, like pitch black. These colors are gorgeous. These are the last 3 colors. So you have Probe, Tall Gray, and then you have Black Hole. And I'm going to put Black Hole up against a couple of other blacks that I have. This is a Natasha Denona single, and it's called The Blackest Black. And a lot of people say this is the blackest black that they've ever used, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a big fan of it, but just for comparison, we're going to use it up against Black Hole here. And as you can see, there is a giant difference between the Natasha Denona, quote, blackest black and Black Hole. Now, one of my blacks out there that is one of my favorites is Anastasia Beverly Hills Noir. And Noir is in a couple of their palettes. We're going to take the Noir out of the Soft Glam palette. And I do like this black because it is one of the richest blacks that I've used up until Black Hole. But when you see it up against Black Hole, you can see that it is rich and it is dark, but it's nowhere near the opacity of Black Hole. It's genuinely a one-of-a-kind black shade. The whole palette, it's shocking, stunning, and gorgeous. I absolutely love this palette. All right, guys, so those are the swatches. As you can see, very unusual, incredibly beautiful swatches. Now, when it comes to performance, I honestly have to say that it does stack up to the Blood Sugar palette. If you love this formula and you love how it basically blends itself, these colors are some of the most well-done eyeshadows in the game right now. I think Jeffree Star has perfected an eyeshadow formula that is second to none. The blendability of these shades are incredible. They take little to no elbow grease. You really can just put it on and it just blends beautifully. They're incredibly beginner friendly. Don't let these colors intimidate you. There are colors in here that even beginners can work with. It's the formula that is amazing. It was one of those palettes where I never thought that Blood Sugar would be able to be duplicated. It was kind of one of those once in a lifetime type of palettes. You're never going to see anything like it. But I have to say, even though I think I'm in love with the Blood Sugar packaging a little bit more than the Alien packaging, I think Blood Sugar will always hold a special place in my heart for creativity, uniqueness, and the way that it came out with the packaging, the formula, the inventiveness of all of it. Blood Sugar will just always be very iconic for me, but I think Alien definitely belongs in the same realm as Blood Sugar. I think I still like Blood Sugar better than the Alien palette, but that's only because I probably use more of the Blood Sugar shades than I will in this particular palette, but it's still a packaging win. It's a beautiful color win. I think it's just a win-win palette. It's absolutely Erika approved. It's definitely worth it. I'll show you guys application here. So even with the lighter shades, so like this brow bone highlight that's Titan, it's just a beautiful formula. It smooths out the skin. It makes the highlight that you put right underneath that brow bone, it just makes it look beautiful. And then of course next I go in with Gravitia. That's the transition shade that I absolutely love. And then from there, it's just a mixture of some of the more cooler gray shades in here. I use X-Files, I use Ghost OG, I use Interstellar and Pluto, both on the inner half of the lid, and Interstellar makes a beautiful inner corner highlight, and you know, overall it just pulls itself together in a very beautiful look. And you know, it's one of those looks that's just surprising because you don't think that you're going to get this kind of a look when you first look at the Alien palette. You know, it's just kind of a basic, normal eye look, but it is stunning. The shades are stunning. The blendability of the shades are stunning. I can't say enough good things about this particular formula. I hope he continues to build on this formula. You know, it's one of those things where I think Huda Beauty had a great formula in the beginning, and then like they continued to tinker around with the formula and they continued to add things, take away things, and I think as a result of that, that initial good formula has kind of gotten lost in all of the tinkering around that she's done with that initial good formula. And I've noticed that Jeffree Star isn't doing that. He knew that when the Blood Sugar palette came out, he had a formula that he had perfected and he's not messing with it, and I can appreciate that. This is that classic formula that's amazing, and he hasn't jacked it up by putting pure glitters in here or anything crazy. It's just that gorgeous formula, and I can absolutely appreciate that. I love the way that the palette sits in the hand as well. So you hold it, you can hold it like this while you're doing your eyeshadow. You can fold it over like this and it sits beautifully on your vanity. You can even prop it up against something like this and use this gigantic mirror that is in here. It's just, as funky of a palette it is still incredibly user-friendly, which you look at a palette like this and you don't think it's going to necessarily be user-friendly, but it is. So at the end of the day, guys, it's definitely going to be worth the spend. It's absolutely Erika approved, and I hope you guys really, really enjoy it. It is absolutely stunning. I'll put the links to the product down below. I know they're selling it on Beautylish and Beauty Bay and Jeffree Star Cosmetics as well, so I hope you guys can get your hands on it. If you are new here, welcome. We're so glad to have you as part of the family. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, I hope everybody is very happy and very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.